People will still cross. They just won't present to the Home Office. It's going to make those crossings more dangerous because people will be taking more irregular routes to avoid detection. And it's going to see a massive rise in the amount of people in the UK that are undocumented and unknown to the Home Office.
Tories seek Plan B for Rwanda if policy fails. And the first 50 asylum seekers will be moved to the Bibby Stockholm barge in Portland today. Up to 500 men will be housed on the barge while they await their asylum application outcomes. Louise Calvey is an independent refugee and asylum specialist. She joins me now to talk about this story. Morning, Louise.
Morning, Patrick.
So, it seems finally, after many false starts, the government is finally going to be moving migrants onto the Bibby Stockholm today. But this process has been punctuated by warnings that it isn't safe or practical. There are warnings in the internal health document and a risk assessment that many of the people on board could be infected if there was an outbreak of disease such as diphtheria. Do you think those concerns have been addressed?
No, frankly, I don't see how they can be. I think it stands to reason if you're putting 550 people in an environment that was built for 222, and that inevitably that's going to lead to some quite significant concerns around overcrowding. We've already seen in the Home Office estate last year in Manston the outbreak of diphtheria. We saw a couple of weeks ago situations of TB in some of the barracks. I think it's clear that this government is not managing these risks adequately, and actually structurally and systemically, it is creating these risks because these are choices. And they're saying that they're using the barge to save money. Well, actually, even on full capacity of 550, estimations are that the barge will save just around £10 per person. On capacity of 50 people in that environment is going to be costing us so much more money than a hotel. So these are structural risks that government are knowingly creating around refugees and asylum seekers.
And, another risk is that these sites, RAF Wethersfield is another one of them, become lightning rods for anger and hostility locally. There's been concern raised by the local community in Portland about housing hundreds of men on the barge, both for reasons of safety and concerns about community cohesion. Will Lloyd, the writer, has a column on this theme in this morning's Times. Local anger over asylum plans is being ignored. The Home Office's gimmicky schemes to house migrants leave residents' concerns unanswered. It's very much another problem, isn't it? That the government has neither, it seems, nailed down its plans for the practicalities, and also, these are being imposed on local communities who feel that they don't have a say. And also, as Will Lloyd writes in this morning's Times, are sort of concerned for the safety and the sanitation and all those other reasons.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm aware that police are currently investigating some threats that have been made from people around the barge. Some really quite nasty things happening around that barge. We saw obviously tragically in the situation in Knowsley last year with that hotel being attacked. And don't forget, it was, last year again, we saw a petrol bomb at an immigration detention centre. And I think that there's multiple layers to that. I think, the first and principal problem, which is very much in the government's gift, is its use of language around migrants and people seeking safety. We saw Braverman stand in Commons and say we were being invaded, when she knows full well that our numbers contextually in Europe are actually very modest for countries of our size, for countries of our ability to help. I think we're, around 16th, 17th highest numbers in Europe. We have modest numbers coming to the UK, and that was a very dangerous thing that she said. But the second problem, I think, that creates this environment of hostility is when you warehouse people. When you warehouse people in isolated areas, in more rural areas, people want to live as part of a community. We all want to live as part of a community. We want to live in diverse areas where we can learn about life in the UK, we can learn language skills, we can learn customs, cultures, and we can really think about rebuilding our lives after we receive an asylum decision whenever that comes. What's happening here is with the government are warehousing people in remote locations without an infrastructure around them. It's compounding all of those problems, and it's leading to a sense of real isolation for people there. So you've also got the damage inflicted on people by that isolation. Honestly, I think it's going to take years for people to recover from the trauma that is being inflicted by our asylum system. And that's not good for us either as a country, because we want people to thrive in the UK. We want people to learn English, integrate, find work, and rebuild their lives to their full potential. Putting people on a barge is not going to help them do that.
If Suella Braverman was here with us on air, Louise Calvey, she would probably say, look, channel crossings are 15% lower than they were this time last year. My plan to deter illegal trafficking across the channel is working. What would you say to that?
I would dispute that channel crossings are down. I think detected crossings may be down, but when you close the asylum system, you disincentivize. You don't disincentivize crossings, you disincentivize people reporting to authorities. And that should worry all of us. People will still cross, they just won't present to the Home Office. It's going to make those crossings more dangerous because people will be taking more irregular routes to avoid detection. And it's going to see a massive rise in the amount of people in the UK that are undocumented and unknown to the Home Office. That's a major concern, and it's shocking that our Home Secretary and our government are actually incentivising people not reporting to authorities. So, yeah, I absolutely dispute that channel crossings are down. Detections may be down. I would say to Suella Braverman, your plan to trade humans to Rwanda, to put people on a barge moored off a port, and even discussions around sending people to Ascension Island, a volcanic island 4,000 miles away. My alternative is make asylum decisions, give people the right to work, and reform visa access. Which of us is the ideological extremist?
Well, Louise Calvey, independent refugee and asylum specialist, thanks very much for joining us on Times Radio on the day the first 50 asylum seekers will be moved to the Bibby Stockholm barge in Portland.